Great. Before Mohammed, I will pass the introduction to you. I see a note from Olga that there is like the last question for the previous session. So she just started typing. I think we're gonna be online soon. Okay. Olga says that we can start. Greetings, everyone. I am thrilled to open the last session of day one of the conference and welcome our audience and speakers. My name is Olga Bezverkha. I'm business lead at Creative Intelligence Platform at Light. And today I have an honor of moderating the discussion on user acquisition in gaming, titled Engage and Conquer. Almost 2 weeks away from the end of the year, many marketing teams are reflecting on their ups and downs, both from the perspective of strategy and execution. So I would like to open this conversation with the first question about marketing game changers of 2023. What specifically you as a professional has observed? And I'm pleased to invite our first speaker on stage, Yolanda Huang, Client Growth Director at Nativex.
Thank you so much, Olga. It's great pleasure to be the first one on the stage. So let me first give a brief introduction of me and the company. So Nativex is a performance marketing agency. We help our clients run user acquisition campaigns on media platforms, including, the more conventional ones like Facebook, Google, like the trendy ones in the recent years, for example, TikTok. We are the global official partner of theirs. And then there's, of course, less known regional platforms as well, like, for example, platforms that's available in APAC, in Japan, Korea, Southeast Asia, or in LATAM, in MENA. So those are kind of things we do. We have a team of 300 plus people, help our clients with running the campaigns, optimizing them, of course, including all the creative productions as well. Right. So tapping on the question, what is the greatest game market development in year 2023? I would say it's AI. Right, the rolling the rolling of the AI technology itself. I mean, it's from our agency role, of course, it's fun. It's a lot of human touch, human communications during the brainstorming and proposal stage. But once we tap on the actual executions, we're actually setting up campaigns for our clients in the scale of hundreds or basically thousands of them. So our media buying team is actually handling, a bunch of accounts and campaigns every day, and think about the number of creative groups, think about the number of creative production itself and copywriting. So it's actually the amount of work in the execution part. In the old days, usually we already had AI in the picture helping us, right? So in the old days, we did have a lot of automated tools, for example, that helps with us with batch creations, batch editings. We can set up optimization rules, for example. AI could help us with campaign optimization suggestions, with emergency notifications, for example. So in the old days, we already have the in-house product that is more data and algorithm related, that helping us do our provide better services for our clients. But now, with ChatGPT and the other tools available in the market, we are seeing a trend that the AI is moving from more data algorithm related, more towards the content related part as well. So if you're seeing how the campaigns are being executed, we see number one, creative visuals. They can be done by AI now. Right. So, for example, we have clients not only in the gaming field, but for example, in the more, for example, cosmetic fields or kids education fields, which relies even more on showing of real user cases. For example, like real users showcasing what's the result of using certain products. Right. Even in gaming, like people showing how they are actually on the games or they're having fun with the games. And those kind of creative visuals, they can be generated by AI. Yeah, so that's actually an interesting way of reducing the creative production costs for our clients, as what we are seeing as one of the trends. The other one is yes, the images, visuals, they can be produced by AI, videos as well. Right, it's only been in the recent 2-3 years we're talking about UGC's user generated content, how good it is performing on different platforms. But then this year we are actually seeing a lot of new ideas about AI GCs, right? AI generated contents, like contents basically showcased by digital humans, and that is going to be a very interesting thing that I'm expecting to see in the coming year as well. How AIGC is going to help us with further improving the efficiency in user acquisition for the gaming products as well. But then, of course, there are certain things that the AI can't help us yet. Like, for example, ad copies, right? So the ad copies itself, especially when we are tapping on the localization and culturalization part, which is our expertise in, bringing Western games to the APAC region and vice versa, we do see that the AI tool is actually giving us a lot of incorrect facts. For example, they can, because basically the AI tool is trained by human, right? So sometimes they could make mistakes by claiming, oh, this person is the most important person in the history of this and that country, which might not be true. Especially, it might not be true in cultures that is, not that dominating, right? So those are the parts that we still need to play an important part in it. The same applies to, for example, the cultural challenges. AI might be using the old sayings, but by ignoring the latest sparse meanings behind it. So old sayings, they can mean completely different things nowadays in the internet world. Those are the common mistakes that we see AI are making. And of course, for brands prepositions as well, for example, right? So giving an example is that we do see that there's a very subtle movement, for example, in certain culture, that the female community, they are basically how do you put it? They're basically very against, like nowadays they are very against the idea of a certain brand telling them, okay, this could be a perfect gift from your husband or from your boyfriend. Instead, they prefer the market proposition or the brand proposition of, okay, this could be a perfect gift to reward yourself because you are just awesome. Right? So as a female, you don't really expect gifts from other people. Instead, you are like independent and mature enough to basically own the world in the way you like. So in certain cultures, there are different trends that we still need to take. We still need the in-market persons to make sure that we are going into the market carefully with the correct culturalized approaches, and that part is what we are seeing that AI cannot do yet. Yeah. So
thank you, Yolanda.
Yep.
That's a very important questions you have raised. We'll have a special, separate question because AI it's definitely a big topic that was in all of the sessions and panels this year, and despite of its spread, it's still a controversial topic. And talking about that, I would like to invite our second speaker, Günay Aliyeva from Gamelight, mobile marketing platform. Günay, do you mind saying a bit about the company and about other trends that you have observed in 2023?
Sure. So I'm Günay. I'm co-founder of Gamelight. What is Gamelight? On one hand, we are an app publisher and developer. On the other hand, we are a mobile marketing platform. So on the app publisher side, we build and publish our own recommendation platforms where we recommend games to our users and they can earn rewards for playing those games. And on the other side, we work with game publishers that want to promote their games in our platform. And we are one of the largest rewarded platforms right now. We are in the latest App Store Index, we're in top 3 next to Meta and Google in multiple categories and regions. And we managed to reach the scale in such a short time thanks to the AI algorithm that we built. That's why I was very interested when Yolanda mentioned AI, because in general, I would want to talk more about it, but you mentioned that we will come back to this later. So I will leave my comments for later. In general, regarding how gaming market developed in the last year, I think obviously it's one point is AI. On the other hand, what could have impacted it is that a lot of game publishers started focusing a lot on performance-driven user acquisition, on performance-driven marketing. For example, what we've seen years before that, they would focus on very long ROAS cycles. We even have seen like 2-3 years ROAS cycles, or they would focus on organic uplift, impact that UA campaigns would have. And what we see is getting less and less attention from UA managers, from marketing managers, and they focus more on getting their money back as soon as possible. So the 2-3 years ROAS cycles became 1 year. Now some are doing six months, 1 year. We also see hybrid casual, hyper casual getting larger and larger because their ROAS cycles are shorter. And a lot of gaming companies starting adding up more monetization elements. For example, if they were doing IAP before, now it's IAP and admon, or if it was ad monetization, now they have some in-app purchases which create the hyper casual. So this kind of trend that we've seen, that gaming companies want to have their return on ad spend as soon as possible. First, this is getting larger and larger, and second, it kind of started impacting the industry. Things like AI came in point. Instead of doing perfect creatives, for example, what Yolanda mentioned, that instead of spending half year, 3 months, 2 months on creating one perfect creative, they are doing as many as possible to have mass production because they also get saturated. Then they can switch them up after a few weeks and months again. So yeah, I think this will probably go more in this direction too from now on. Things that will have faster impact, faster returns back, and less of indirect impact like organic uplift or total brand reputation and things like that.
Thank you, Günay. Talking about trends and new channels that have been growing during this year, it's not only about the performance marketing taking back its space in the user acquisition, but also the influence markets and one of the trends. So I would like to invite on stage to address the first questions about trends, Dima Okhrimchuk, CEO and founder of Drop.me.
Hello, everyone. I totally agree with Günay and Yolanda on those trends, and I'm going to touch base on them. But short introduction about myself and what we do at Drop.me. So my name is Dima. I'm the CEO of the company. What Drop.me is it's an AI-enabled influencer marketing platform where we help gaming companies to engage micro-influencers at scale. And what sets us apart from other companies or other platforms is that companies only pay for the performance, whether it's in-game engagement, whether it's Steam wishlist purchases, or Roblox achievements or badges. We can basically attribute those community actions to specific influencers and reward influencers for bringing their community to a particular game, whether it's on Steam, whether it's on mobile, Roblox. We're now also tapping into Fortnite with their Wii event. And it's a self-serve platform, so anyone can launch within 15 minutes with a tiny budget starting from $200. So that's kind of like our core offering. We have over 4,500 streamers, mainly English-speaking streamers. So if you're interested in tapping into that audience, feel free to join. And to answer your question for the trends, I'd say influencer marketing is part of the trends that both Yolanda and Günay mentioned. There's also AI that is being integrated in a lot of influencer marketing right now in terms of like validating the content and basically matching the right influencers with the right games. That's basically what our platform helps doing as well. And the other trend is performance. I mean, these days, everyone is counting their money and they are more budget aware, the companies. So the performance aspect is also part of the influencer marketing these days. And what we've seen is that even mobile gaming companies that have never used influencer marketing before, they're actually tapping into that channel because due to those like policy changes with Apple, like the ATT, now the client acquisition cost has grown dramatically in mobile. So now the companies are looking for different channels to grow their games, and influencer marketing is one of them. But since mobile gaming companies are kind of used to crunching the numbers hard and they're super good at it, they're looking for that performance aspect within influencer marketing as well. And there's not a lot of platforms who can do that. We're one of them. So that's one of the trends that I wanted to bring up. So basically, both DI and performance marketing also converges into influencer marketing. And by the recent research, almost every company right now is looking to add an influencer marketing component to it. For some of the companies, this is going to be the major channel of growing their game. You can imagine that the barrier to creating the games has been going down with those also AI improvements. So now you can create an amazing game with like a team of even one person or two persons. So you have more games, but the number of players doesn't grow that fast. So this brings us to a more fierce competition for the players at the end of the day. And this is the reason why companies are looking for these like new channels that they can tap into and scale their games with.
Thank you, Dima. Going forward and talking about market overall and the general strategies, both related to performance and AI that we can see, I want to invite our next panelist, Tunahan Oduncu, Business Development Manager at SocialPeta.
Hi everyone, my name is Tunahan Oduncu. Let me first tell what Social Company does. SocialPeta is a ad intelligence platform, marketing ad intelligence platform. What differentiates us from other competitors? I can say that we are providing ad creative data, around 1.4 billion ad creative data. Our database is huge, and we have a very fast updation system, like around we have an updation of our creative optimization in our system, and we update almost 1.2 million ad creative data into our platform. And we cover many regions and countries, around 7 country regions and countries, and we also cover more than 70 networks, well-known networks like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, and other well-known networks around the world. Basically, with our platform, developers and publishers can optimize their ad creative optimization strategy, and they can also check what their competitors are doing in the market. They can see their competitors' ad promotion strategy. It's a basically user-friendly user acquisition platform, and we are mostly working with game developers and game publishers with non-gaming and gaming. Coming to your question, yes, there are lots of major changes, developments in game market development, and we can give lots of examples. In 2023, there was lots of new developments. Especially, first, I want to mention about the important ones, like live service games are getting popular. Especially, we saw this. This is live service game means like where developers provide ongoing content updates and engage with the player community over an extended period of time. And this approach often involves constant communication through social media, in-game events. We can see lots of in-gaming events and community engagement. So game marketers had to focus on building and maintaining an online presence to keep players engaged. And as everyone mentioned, yes, we also saw AI impact in 2023, and we will see. I believe that, however, the widespread adaptation and impact were still evolving for AI, and we will see lots of new developments in AI area. And the important development, I can tell you that there is also a surge in subscription-based monetization. Especially we saw this in Google Play, for example, Google Play Pass and Apple Arcade, 2 main mobile stores are also offering this subscription-based monetization. So in 2023, this was a popular trend. And in 2023 also, there was also challenges like monetization becomes harder for publishers because of, especially with the IDFA, Apple's IDFA policy and Android advertising ID policy. Publishers have been left with less data, and it was a little bit challenging. But right now, game marketers are more careful about their promotion strategy, about their creative strategy. And we also saw that hyper casual games decreased. The popularity of hyper casual games decreased, and now we can see a new game genre, hybrid casual games. And we saw lots of advertisers. Checking our report, SocialPeta report, we saw that game advertisers increased around the world, more than 70% year over year. So what this means is that there are more advertisers in the market. Market is more competitive than ever before. But we saw that there's a decrease in game creatives in total. This means that game marketing people are coming with high quality ad creatives, ad promotion strategy. Right now, quality is much more important than quantity. So this is also another development. And lastly, I can tell that industry consolidations are also a big trend, especially that happened in 2023. Big game titans acquired smaller or medium-sized game companies. There are lots of reasons for this, but the main reason small and medium game companies maybe couldn't afford a user acquisition cost, or they didn't know how to know very well. So as I think we will see more consolidation, industry consolidations in 2024. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Tunahan. And I'm honored to invite the last but not the least speaker on stage, Mohammad Hajarian, postdoctoral researcher at the University Carl III of Madrid. Mohammad, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Olga, for introduction. My name is Mohammad. I work at University Carl III of Madrid, and currently I have a European project which is about using gamification, about regulating user behavior. And as part of my research, I use gamification, user engagement, and I study on them a lot to see what affects the user engagement. So one of the interesting things I noticed regarding your question is that we can see it as if we want to see it from other perspective, we can see it as an effect of social networks or effect of social media. And with that, you can see that influencers are part of the social media. We also have targeted advertisement on the social media, that the type of advertisement that games put in content of your social network feeds, and you can see that you can see the advertisement about the game that you might be interested in. So targeted advertisement, I think, is something it was around a lot, and it will be around for a long time. So it is evolving. And the other thing is influencer marketing. Influencers recorded a lot of videos about, some of them, they played online games, they record videos, and they introduce it a lot. And they publish it through different social media platforms. So I think social media platforms are, the very important role players of that make impact on game marketing, and so they are also leveraging AI. But AI is not something new, and this is something that has been around for a long time. It was first introduced in 1950, and later the word AI became a buzzword in recent years. So I don't think this is something completely new or something that revolutionized, but I think this is something just evolved, and it will play part, especially to show the related advertisement to the user, related influencer marketing or viral videos to the users. It is playing important role, but it's been around a lot, and we use the recommendation systems and things a lot before. So in this era, I think still social media play an important role using AI or other methods like influencer marketing.
Thank you very much, Mohammad.
You're
And
most
I
welcome.
appreciate your contribution of all of you on the trends, as we consider most of them, but the first one and the last one that we have mentioned during this opening remarks, the first word was AI. This is what we started with, so I suggest we dive deeper. I remember then when the first AI solutions were launched on the market, there was a lack of trust. So the companies were willing to try, but still it was hard for them to gain enough of the arguments why to do it, why it's going to be beneficial. Obviously, we can see the AI is changing the market and key channels, but I'm wondering what has changed the approach of the companies, what helped to overcome the lack of trust to AI and now basically become empowered by AI. And I invite you, Günay, to contribute. What do you see in your customers, in their attitude to AI, and how it has actually benefited them recently?
Yeah, you're right that in general, we, not just now, but in general in the industry, people tend to not be too open for change, right? Even back then when, I don't know, rewarded video came out, everyone was like, rewarded? No, it's instant. Even though now everyone's like, it's not instant, it's a good quality channel, it's good quality users. So I feel like whenever something new comes out and some UA managers or they're doing something else, they tend to be a bit careful trying to implement new solutions. What I've seen from our side, so the difference is that what we build is AI algorithm. Maybe I can shortly explain how AI algorithm works in general to what non-AI algorithm works. So if it's non-AI algorithm, okay, usually you would say no targeting kind of, right? You would work with some video networks or so on, and they would basically optimize based on who is paying the highest CPMs, who has the highest bids. They get to show their ads to the users. Then there are manual targetings. You can do some age and gender, or you can do some vertical targetings. And then there are normal algorithms, which are based around rules. So for example, you say if this user is certain age or gender, if they are usually playing some other games, then show them this ad. This is already better than most that has been there, but it's also still not AI, and it's very unoptimized, because then we have people who would very much focus on average numbers, like female 30 plus would be great for Candy Crush, and male 40 plus would be great for Lords Mobile, for example. And how it's with AI, you put as much data as possible. It is user, for example, in Gamelight, it's app usage data, it's user playtime, it is demographics, phone manufacturer, and device details, basically any information about user that we have. It's the data input, and on the other side, we set the goals that we want to reach, which are maximizing the ROAS, maximizing ARPA, and maximizing retention. In between, we don't do anything. Human doesn't get to decide who sees what, when, and so on. Everything is decided by an algorithm, and it's very granular, because human can't analyze thousands of data points for one single user and one single game that you recommend, right? You can only look at averages, while algorithms can analyze so many data points and get the best recommendations that you can give for each user, and also for the games that they get the best users for their games that would stay loyal. Also, what earlier Mohammad mentioned, that, for example, the AIs are not that new, which is true, right? The same with anything else. I think what everyone should pay attention is that AI algorithms, for example, or AI creative production, what Yolanda mentioned. Yes, it was there before, but no one was paying attention. It was just hanging in there and no one using. And this year, everyone started crazily using AI platforms to do creatives. Static ads, video ads, everything, all the copies, everything is done by now AIs. Not everything, but a lot in mass production. And we should UA managers should pay attention to anything new that's coming up, because there might be something like this that will change completely the effort to the result that they get, how much effort they should put to the result, and this might massively impact the results.
Thank you, Günay. That makes a lot of sense. I assume the topic of AI and how it changes our marketing practice cannot be exhausted during this conversation. Nevertheless, I suggest we move forward. Tunahan, during his opening remark, has noticed very good point that we are also seeing now at that light, that that is the decrease in the number of the creatives. So now the quality of the creatives is more important than quantity, and it's actually also contributed by the tools like AdLight that helps to do the decomposition of the creatives, analyze specific elements, and then helps to optimize the creative production to produce 5 winning creatives instead of producing 20 or 30 winning creatives. So getting back to the second trend that all of you has mentioned about performance marketing, Tunahan, I want to invite you one more time to share a bit more of the insights about the creative trends that you see in performance marketing.
Okay. First of all, I would like to mention about our quarterly report. In our quarterly report, SocialPeta report, we basically show game developers and publishers which game genre, which type of creative is used in each game genre. For example, for RPG game category, we mostly saw that short video content were very popular, and especially they used short video platforms like TikTok. And they mostly showed game welfare creatives, game richness for RPG game categories, and in-game fashion trends like this. So according to each game genre, we saw some different trends. We can see these trends because of the estimated impressions of each creatives in each category. For casual game categories, for example, we saw lots of game related elements. For example, there were creatives like it starts with real life. Let me give you an example. For example, it's a fighting game, or there's a gun. Firstly, they show the real gun, and then it goes to the game, and they are showing the game. So what they want to do here is that they are first showing real life, and then they go to the real game, and this is also an effective marketing strategy in game category. And different game genres, different categories for different trends. For example, in action game creatives, we saw that social connections are very important. For example, pranks like jokes between friends are very popular in action game categories. For example, in simulation game categories, we saw some kind of creatives like fixed problems creatives. We saw that. Fixed problems creatives basically mean that, for example, they first show a problem. For example, there's a street and the street gets stuck because of the traffic or something like this. And when players see those kind of ad creatives, they want to solve the problem, and then the creative goes to how to solve the problem. First they are showing this problem, and then they goes to the solution. And those kind of creatives we saw especially in simulation games category, and they got very good impression rates. For casino games creatives, for example, we saw the charm of cash and endless wins, some kind of those kind of things. But for the trends in general, I can say that there are some trends in game creatives. For example, playable ads and interactive creatives are also popular. With playable ads, playable users experience a bit part of from your game, which is very good. And interactive creatives are also very official, very good method to attract users. And personalized and dynamic creatives are also very popular. Dynamic creative optimization means you have to refresh your creative, you have to check, you have to follow your competitors' analysis, and you have to come up with a high quality ad creative. And in our report, we also saw that many game advertisers, more than 90% of advertisers in the last quarter came up with new creatives. That's how important coming up with new creatives, catching up the trends. And personalized creatives basically can be used by AI. AI and machine learning are increasingly used to analyze user data and create personalized experiences. And influencer marketing and user-generated contents are also becoming popular. So there are lots of new trends, but I can tell that mostly game developers and publishers should follow the trends, and they check their competitors and which platform is suitable for them and which game genre creatives are popular, and they have to come up with high quality creatives. So basically that means it means a lot of search. So basically I can summarize like this.
Thank you very much, Tunahan. To be honest, as an avid mobile game player, I'm often followed by the advertisements. And recently, I had a feeling that there are so many new concepts, especially those about problem solving. And now you and the report made by SocialPeta actually confirms the observings that I had as a general user. And talking about new formats and more of the real life episodes and scenes in the creatives. Yolanda, did you notice something special, new trends in user-generated content used for the creatives as well?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, I completely agree with what Tunahan has just shared. Actually, we do see that for each genre, or maybe not for every single genre, but different genres would demonstrate different trends, right? But overall picture, I think Tunahan touched base on most of the common genres. But overall speaking, what we are seeing is that AIGC, it's still, like I mentioned already previously, during the intro question, but it is still some solution that I expect to see booming in the following months. So what happens is that imagine digital human, right? So imagine a certain solution can actually give you hundreds of digital human characters, and you can actually choose from them. So instead of actually hiring each individual creators to make UGCs for you, you could actually hire 100 digital humans to do the product endorsement for you, for example, right? And another interesting way it would be imagine just like traditional products, just like brands who are having product endorsers. Games can have it as well. But in the old days, games usually they are not actually having it because there's the exact, it's sort of a mathematical question that they are really good at balancing the revenues with investment. Basically, it doesn't really make sense for them. But what if we actually create, a character with digital human assets, and this person is having the personality to actually represent a certain game for the game developers? I think it would be a super interesting idea.
Thank you very much, Yolanda. Talking about user-generated content and other involvement of influencers, I know that some of the companies are rather conscious about scaling their budgets for influencers because for them it's not that much predictable channel as performance marketing, for example. But I know that Dima Drop.me is trying to challenge that approach. So could you tell us more? Shall we actually consider influence marketing to become also a performance marketing channel in the upcoming future? If yes, what are the drivers of this change?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on what Yolanda mentioned with those artificial influencers. I mean, that's an interesting trend, and we've already been seeing some of the success cases with that. Although, from the experience that I have, I think it's whenever it's artificial influencers and people are aware that they're created by companies and they're managed by companies, you get little trust to those influencers because you know that at the end of the day, their goal is to sell something. Whereas the way influencer marketing works right now is like most of the relationship that influencers, especially micro influencers, the smaller guys, that they have with their community is built on trust. And that's why being able to market any products or game through micro influencers is such an important channel, and it's a totally untapped opportunity for a lot of companies because it takes just a lot of effort and time to build those relationships, and it's difficult to scale those relationships as well. But it's the trust that exists between the influencer and their community which makes this channel so influential and powerful. And if we substitute real influencers, real people with their real problems, life problems with just AI generated influencers, that trust component is going to be gone. So I'm not sure if that's the right path that we should be taking forward, but that's definitely an interesting trend that we're going to be following as well. And To answer your question, Olga, regarding the performance aspect, I think that's inevitable. I mean, just taking a step back and seeing what has been going on with the market, like during the COVID times, like the marketing budgets were booming. Everyone was playing games because people had so much more time. They were sitting at home. And these were like the golden times of mobile gaming companies or just gaming companies in general. Now the market is kind of going back to the normal. And of course, there's not as much growth as there used to be like 2 years ago. So now companies are looking at more efficient channels. And before they would just spend tremendous amount of money on influencers, and they wouldn't care as much about the conversions because their main goal was to get the awareness or impressions about the game. And sometimes it would work with some particular influencers. Sometimes it was just a complete waste of time and money. So you could spend a lot of time onboarding, engaging like a large influencer. He would do like an hour integration and nothing would happen. You wouldn't get like any purchases or additional installs of your game. So that's basically what pushes the market right now to make it more efficient, to make it more scalable. Of course, companies are looking at the results that they're getting out of these influencer marketing campaigns. And performance is just like a name of the results that you're getting from those campaigns. And we definitely see a trend of companies paying more attention to that, of course, because they want to be more efficient with their budgets. And in order to get those like higher conversion rates, it's important for the companies to be working with smaller influencers because these are the guys who have more trust with their communities, and the communities like follow these influencers to whatever product or game they like. So having an opportunity to build these relationships is vital, but it takes time. And this is where we help the companies as Drop.me platform to basically allow promotion with hundreds or even thousands of micro influencers simultaneously, and where you don't have to deal with finding them, negotiating terms with them, or tracking the performance, and then making sure they get paid. So all of this is done automatically on Drop.me. And we are on the forefront of this trend, but I'm sure that other platforms are also going to be picking up on that trend and following our steps in that way.
Thank you, Dima. I know that a few other panelists also had an experience or still working with the influence marketing channel. So I'm wondering, do they see any other trends, or maybe they have some thoughts related to the efficiency of the current state of the influence marketing approach?
Can you say? So I think personalization is also important here. Personalization, both influencer personalization and platform personalization. Many users use different type of platforms. Some users use TikTok, some other use Instagram, Facebook. So personalizing these platforms is important. Also, personalizing the influencer based on, the geographically or language or from different, gender, rights, or any area should be personalized. In that case, it could be more effective.
Thank you, Mohammad. Günay also said that you wanted to contribute, right?
Yeah, I want also to mention that in general, as like everyone mentioned, that for example, the performance is becoming more of a thing because there's so much competition. And I think we can see the same thing with influencer marketing, that maybe initially it was more about how many impressions you would get, or the fact that some influencer had your brand in their videos or TikTok or Instagram. And over time, the UA managers start paying more attention to what are their actual results, because they can't just endlessly for years waste budgets on influencers to promote their apps or games without having results. And then we kind of see it with every trend, more or less. So as soon as the trends come, there are huge budgets for it to test out by gaming companies, app companies. And over time, it becomes more efficient-driven, more performance-driven. And that's what Dima was mentioning. I was before the session, I was mentioning Dima that because we are an app publisher ourselves, we face this problem that we want to do influencer marketing because quality is good for us, But at the same time, there are so many influencers that you can't simply hire so many people to talk to all of them at the same time, because you just end up wasting a lot of time to handle the communications with them, and eventually you have 1 video, 2 videos, 3 videos at best. For those cases, it definitely makes sense to work with agencies that have contacts with whom you just have one agreement, you share with them your goals, what you want to get, your KPIs, and then they can handle the rest for you.
Thank you, Günay. Talking about some of the trends that Mohammad has mentioned, overall about personalization and about localization, I think that localization overall is a big topic and a big opportunity that has been currently, widely discovered and created by Yolanda and Nativex. But before I will invite Yolanda to share her insights on the alternative way to grow within different regions, I just want to remind that we will most likely have time for 2-3 questions in the end of the session. So if there are some things you would like to clarify or raise the concern, please send a message in general chat, and we would love to address it together with our panel. Yolanda, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So yes, I was about to mention, the interesting localization and basically the local media platforms as well. Just to continue contributing a little bit about influencer topic. Despite most of the times we see TikTokers or YouTubers, they prefer to work with a non-performance deal, especially the bigger ones. There are actually less known regional social platforms. They work in a way to provide interesting solutions. For example, influencer packages in the local market on CPI basis, which is the similar way what JobMe is doing. So with those kind of deals, it's actually a great way, and it's very recommendable for our clients usually, because we almost always see that influencer assets when we take them to re-edit them to run further user acquisition campaigns for our clients, it almost always performs better than a regular screen re-editing or animation ads. So this kind of platforms, besides the global ones like Facebook, Google, TikTok, we do have in each single region the local for example, if let's say a platform only exists in Japan, right? But 90% of Japanese are on it. So that would be definitely something that we should consider when we are launching something in the region. So in a lot of cultures, in a lot of countries, this kind of platform do exist. Like for example, in Japan, in Korea, in China, of course, it's such a closed ecosystem that everything is a standalone kind of like. In Southeast Asia as well, despite we talk about it in as a whole region, but actually the culture is very fragmented there, and the interest, how to localize, culturalize, is also very different there. So in LATAM, in MENA, there are all those kind of so-called less known platforms that could be offering. Yeah, so I would actually recommend the people who are in the room right now. Basically, I would recommend all my clients, they actually do a research on what kind of platform actually could be interesting, could be considerable for their products. Even for tier 1 countries, let's say even for the United States, when we are looking at different media platforms, we do see that they have different approaches, right? So different genres actually run differently on different media platforms. Sometimes a certain platform, they can have different policies or compliance rules towards certain so-called sensitive content. When we talk about, for example, social casinos, we talk about sports betting, we talk about rewarded apps. It can be all different, that on certain platforms, you could actually go a little bit more bold or aggressive towards your communicating messaging, actually make your messaging more attractive for the users. So those are the type of things that we try to bring into the market for our clients. Yeah.
Thank you, Yolanda. I'm excited to see that there are so many ideas, so many solutions each of you can offer to our audience to boost their marketing strategies. So I'm inviting all of you to contribute to the last question that we're going to have today within the session, which is to address the annual planning that currently most of the marketing teams are going through. What are the top 3 strategic pieces of advice you would give to marketing teams to grow more efficiently in 2024? And just to remind that we're a bit short of time, so I would kindly ask you to meet the 2 minutes time limit. Mohammad, would you like to be the first one to contribute?
Sure, of course. So regarding your question to give some advice about marketing, again, I want to emphasize in this area that I talked earlier, using personalization, using social networking, and of course, personalization can use recommender system, AI methods, data mining. We have to use we have a lot of data. We have to use this data, and we can benefit from this data recommend the type of advertisement to the user or type of games to the user that are interested to them. But how we can advertise this? Can we just give it to everybody? No. It should be demographically checked. It should be based on their language, based on their interest. First of all, we have to understand user interest using the data that we have, and then we can use the channels that we have, like social media, different type of social media, and advertise it to the users through that channels. And then influencer marketing, using the influencer, but personalized influencers. We can use different type of influencers for different type of markets. So we have to consider all of that. And so it should be influencers, second, social network, and third, personalization. And they can be integrated together to get the most of it.
Thank you, Mohammad. Dima, what about you? Any recommendations through influence marketing channel and above?
Yeah, we mainly work with smaller games, like with indie developers a lot. So I don't think I'm gonna give any good advice to large publishers because they know what they're doing, hopefully. But my recommendation for the smaller game developers is just step back. Don't listen to all those hype talks that everyone is doing TikTok and I should be running and doing TikTok because everyone else is doing. Just step back, think about your game, think creatively about the channels that might be relevant specifically for your game, and try to experiment and do bold and brave moves to be creative around marketing, around the positioning of your game, and just not go with what everyone else is doing. Because if you're just following what everyone else is doing, most likely it's going to be very difficult for you to stand out from the crowd. And second of all, you're going to be paying more because this is the channel that is being used a lot. So meaning it's not going to be as efficient for you anymore. So step back, think about your game, think about the creative campaigns or marketing initiatives that you can do, and go execute. That's my advice.
Thank you, Dima. Günay, what about you? Any recommendations how to properly utilize AI for the tremendous boost?
Sure. For AI specifically, it's a bit difficult to give a recommendation because there are AI creative tools, obviously, which I think everyone is on board right now. I feel like any companies tried this, right?
Us is here.
Yeah, because it works. It's less effort. You get good results. You get good results fast. It's more difficult with AI algorithms because I, to be honest, don't know that many companies that have AI algorithms. Okay, there's Facebook, Google. I think TikTok has AI algorithm, maybe some DSPs, but that's not too common to have AI algorithms. What I would say in general, because considering how Gamelight works and how the others work, people should be more open to technology. What in the beginning you mentioned that sometimes they might not be too open to test something new, right? But what we see how it performs for our game publishers. They are basically in awe how they can get 4 times higher ARPUs, which wouldn't be possible without AI, right? They can maybe get 20%, 30% increase in their LTV, but not 4 or 5 times higher LTVs, which wouldn't be possible without AI. So definitely trying AI algorithms if something comes out, except Gamelight, Facebook, I don't know, Meta, and so on. And in general, the advice I would give to everyone, being open for testing out new things and splitting your budgets as much as you can, making sure that every source still has minimum budget to understand the quality, so it shouldn't be just like tiny bit. But if you can split it, if you can run video networks, unitary source, a plugin, do all of that. If you can do DSP, small core merge, go ahead, do all of this. If you can do rewarded Gamelight, anything else, go ahead, do all of that. The same goes with creatives. If you can afford to do good UGC content, you must do this. If you can do playables, you must try. Anything that you can afford, if you have budgets to try, you must try, because you might see, for us, for our apps, each time we try something new, not each time, there's always in some category, be it creatives or sources, there will be something that performs twice better than anything else. And if we wouldn't have tried it thinking, whatever, it's just a trend, we wouldn't see it. And because we tried, now our performance for our own apps is so much better than what it was before.
Thank you, Günay. I think diversification is a topic that deserves a separate panel, and I hope we'll have a chance to talk about how to properly diversify marketing opportunities next year at the next conference. But before we finish our session, I would like to invite Tunahan to contribute from the perspective of the market intelligence. What are the recommendation do's and don'ts for the next year for our audience?
First of all, they should understand their audience. First of all, they have to conduct thorough market research to understand their target audiences. For example, their behaviors, their demographics, which people are playing their games. They have to know their users, and they have to use some, if they can afford to utilize analytic tools to gather data on user interactions within their game. So this can help identify popular features, some improvement areas. And I think they also have to embrace user acquisition and retention strategies. Marketing is changing, so they have to follow up those kind of trends, and they have to develop a comprehensive user acquisition strategy to reach new players. And for example, they may utilize a mix of paid advertising, social media marketing, influencer partnership, or other channels to maximize their visibility. I think this might be a great way. And they also have to reboost their retention strategies. For example, they can do this like regular content updates, like in-game events, like loyalty programs, like personalized communications. And lastly, as Günay mentioned, they have to invest in their creatives with their creative strategy, and they have to come up with high quality ad creatives, and they have to refresh their creatives regularly. And lastly, I can say that they have to engage with their community. It can be like on social media. They have to get feedback from their users, what they are saying. They have to listen to their users, and they have to respond to their requests actively. And it's pretty much like this. I can contribute like this.
Thank you very much, Tunahan. Yolanda, what are the recommendations on your side?
Yeah. So from my side, the first thing would be, keep the mind open. There are a lot of things going on, and I feel the advertising, the UA industry is like ever changing. But just like what Günay just mentioned, we would strongly recommend as well that we test. We keep our mind open and test as many creators and many media platforms as possible, of course, under the budget structure that we could afford. That's number one. Number two would be, so many things can nowadays be done automated. I've been talking about AI and, AI tools and artificial influencers all the times as well. But those are basically all the tools to help increase our efficiencies and to lower down the cost. In the end, I would still say address human touch would still remain on the top of everything. So the human touch would be what the other panelists actually mentioned during the session. It is the live service games. It is actually the trust between influencers and their followers. It is the personalization part of the content. And for us, it is actually culturalizations that we pay attention and actually respect the users from every region. It is the personality that we are trying to give the AI digital humans. And it is the communication messages, the contents that we are trying to bridge the users with the game developers. So that's number 2, the human touch. And number 3 would be make informed decisions. So after you test things, there's human touch. We have tried different ways of communicating with our users. We are informed to make better decisions for ourselves.
Thank you, Yolanda. Using this opportunity, I would also like to share a few recommendations. First would be the last that Yolanda just shared to rely on data, but to rethink the data approach, because now there are so many new, better ways to be data-driven, to have more insights and better informed decision. Then, of course, experiment with technology and AI. I know some of you may be conscious about AI, but nothing stops for giving a try, see the results, and then to decide to embed some solution or not. And the last one, I would support some of the ideas that Tunahan has mentioned, which we see from the operating at Light, is that it was revising the approach to creative production, to iterate less and win more. And this is what Adlight could also help you with. Saying this, big kudos to our panelists today. I appreciate your great recommendations and involvement. Tunahan, Günay, Yolanda, Mohammad, Dima, thank you so much for joining us. And big thank to our audience for joining the session on user acquisition. This is the last session for today, but we will be looking forward to meeting all of you tomorrow for new sessions, new fresh ideas, new insights, and of course, new challenges. Thanks a lot and have a nice day, evening ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.